Welcome to another edition of Ask the AD. Brian Smoller with the Director of Athletics, Gene Taylor. Plenty of stuff to get to today. Let's get right into it. And the first thing we start with is something that's, I think, a little bit unique. We thought it was unique to NCAA and Division I, Power 5 or beyond schools. And I thought we would open with that just to get your comments. And that's the elimination of the student privilege fee. We just talked about this, just released this here in the last week or two.
Yep.
I guess, why is that a big deal, bigger deal than perhaps people even out there know, even for them?
Well, I think a couple of things, Brian. First of all, we're one of just a handful of schools that take absolutely no funding from the institution, from student fees, or from state fees. I think we're one of 8 institutions across the country at the Power 5 level. And that's a big deal. And as student fees and as enrollments go down and funding for institutions go down, the ability to work with your students and not have that fee really helps the students out. And this year in particular, you know, we've given over $2.6 million over the years to our students. The students have given to us. We were able to fund the band this year up to $200,000, and so by us eliminating the $200,000 fee for next year and then beyond, then that student fee money goes back to those students for other groups that right now are, need the funding. And they had, obviously our enrollment was down this year, so their student fee dollars were down. So they came to us. We have a great relationship with our students. Our students are extremely important to us for game day and atmosphere and all that. And it was just a time for us. We were going to phase it out anyway a year beyond that, but we said let's do it now, and it helps them out. And we're able to do that, and we're able to do that because we have such strong fan support, our ability to raise money through the Ahern, so it's all tied together.
Yeah, the Ahern Fund, a big part of this. That's kind of behind the scenes. That we've talked about the Ahern Fund before, and the numbers that you, the fans, have been able to provide. And
thank you very much.
The only way we're able to do this and be self-sufficient and all of us pull in the same direction together is with the support of the Ahern Fund for scholarships for student athletes. All right, speaking of the Ahern Fund, big weekend for them, big weekend for the fans coming up this weekend. You know,
it was a year ago. That was my first major event, was the spring game and the Power Cat auction. So Kathy and I were here, and I was kind of a stranger walking around. So it'll be fun this year to really know a lot more people. But it's a great event. Again, speaking of the Ahern Fund, the Power Cat auction is a great opportunity for us to raise more dollars for scholarships. And then, the spring game, hopefully the weather will be decent. But it'll be a great memory for me because it was our first time here and to see a big event. But it's a great event between the spring game and all the things that goes along with that for our fans. We have some events for our fans during the day on Saturday, and then of course the Power Cat auction Friday night brings some really great auction items and just a lot of fun for our fans to interact with our players and our athletes. They man our silent auction around the Bramlage Coliseum, so great opportunity for our fans to interact with our student athletes and for a good cause, which is our Ahern Fund.
Yeah, that's the other good point. I don't think it's talked about enough. Student athletes there on the concourse, you can talk with them as you bid on some stuff to help support their scholarships here at K-State across the board. All right, speaking of football, we'll jump right into our questions here from you, the fans. First one comes from Facebook, and it is in regards to Arrowhead Stadium. I haven't seen this question in a while. What are the chances we play another football game in Arrowhead in the next few years? From Jordan Majorana from Facebook.
That's a great question, and certainly something as we continue to schedule out, we'll look for those opportunities. There's nothing in the immediate future, but there's certainly, if it's the right game or the right opportunity to take a game to a neutral site, you're seeing that more and more across the country, where teams are taking an early non-conference opponent to the Green Bay Packers. I think the Wisconsin Badgers did that, and a lot of places are going to the Texas where the Cowboy Stadium is, and so certainly Arrowhead would be but Dallas might also be an option for us too, because we have a big fan base there. So those are things we'll talk about, but nothing in the immediate future.
All right, from that one we go, speaking of football, another question about football. When will we ever bring back the tradition of tackling the opponent's mascot at football games? From Jonathan at I'm Such a Burden on Twitter.
Well, if Jonathan wears that opposing mascot and gets tackled, we'll be happy to. My understanding was that happened, and there was a pretty serious accident with that. And, it's something that I think could be I'm not sure we'll bring it back anytime soon. I'm concerned that we wouldn't certainly want to have anything, and then is it the right image of our mascot, attacking the opposing mascot? It's all about sportsmanship these days. And I know a lot of people want that to happen. I've had some other emails about that, but I don't think that's probably going to happen anytime soon.
Not all antiquated or very old traditions are always good ones in the modern times.
That's correct.
Unfortunately. So we'll
correct.
see if it gets returning. Speaking of returning, how about this question that comes from Kevin Riley on Twitter? at Kevin K. Riley 111. Chances of Barry Brown Jr. returning. You want to handicap that one?
Well, I'm not Barry Brown, and certainly I know he's taking a look at the NBA, but from comments that I've heard, and I certainly in talking to Bruce, and it's one of the things that I've enjoyed is being able to get around the team a little bit during the playoff run or during the NCAA tournament run. But I need to get around the team more. I need to be around the practices. I need to do that a better. I need to do a better job of doing to all of our team's practices. But my chances, I think the chances of Barry coming back are pretty good. I think the team feels and he feels that they have more to accomplish. They got pretty close last year. They had a great run. I think Barry is pretty driven to take us another step next year.
Yeah, I think Barry and Driven are pretty good.
And he's a tremendous leader. Yeah,
no
he's a tremendous leader for us.
Big things about basketball right now. Everyone's still riding the high off of what happened last year, and the excitement around men's basketball program. It's been great to see. It hasn't been this level in a long time, and even then it was just a short period of stretch, and you got to go back a ways before that.
Right.
One of the topics that's been making rounds on social media and discussion boards has been about jersey retirements for men's basketball. While we don't have a specific question per se, I know you've been hearing a little bit about it.
There was a pretty big Twitter exchange there, I don't know, a few weeks ago, and it was actually kind of fun to read and see everybody's thoughts about how important that is. And certainly jersey retirements and those kinds of things we don't take lightly, but it's not something we review on an annual basis. It's something that is very, very important for those that are already been retired. And certainly the two mentioned, Michael Beasley and Jacob Pullen, are guys worthy of considering. But it's something that we have to take a lot of things into. What's the right timing? Well, if they're both playing and still active, is that the time to bring them back? Because they're not going to be able to come back. We want to be able to have them there, but certainly it's something we take seriously. It's something very, very important for those that have been recognized. It's something that's important for our program. So we'll look at a lot of the factors, the impact they had. Are they the right mix? Is it the right time? But certainly Michael and Jacob are both worthy of consideration. When that happens, we'll see down the road.
Speaking of classes, I think we'll have a new Hall of Fame class being announced here in the next calendar year.
Yeah, and that's another thing that will be the first for me to see. I think we have some input from fans, and we have a committee that will decide that, and that should be coming up pretty soon.
As we get ready to wrap things up, spring sports are in the full swing of things. We talked about spring football already. How about a shout out to Danielle Steinberg and the tennis team?
They're doing a great job, and they've got the Big 12 coming up, Big 12 championships coming up. They're, I think, currently ranked 35th, and they've had some great victories. And Danielle's done a tremendous job with this tennis team, and I think they have the future ahead of them is bright because they're also a pretty young tennis team as well.
And just announced the signing of some young lady from Russia, St. Petersburg Player of the Year, won the city title, singles and doubles. Some big things ahead for that program.
Yeah, a couple of events this weekend at home, so if you're around, come out and watch the women's tennis team.
It is fun and enjoyable to watch them and get after it and play hard. Very blue collar, get after it type of K-State type of attitude.
Absolutely.
Gene, appreciate the time.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the input and the questions.
Don't forget, you can always give a shout out to Gene on Twitter. He'll answer the questions, even if it's not in this format. He may respond to you on Twitter just directly with those questions. Keep them coming through Facebook and Twitter, and we'll catch you down the road. For Gene Taylor, I'm Brian Smoller. Thank you for watching Ask the AD.